Hello! So today we are going to make some art of cherry blossoms. And I have this Japanese celebrations book so we can learn a little bit more about cherry blossoms. And the word for that in Japan is sakura. All of Japan seems to catch spring fever when the cherry blossoms bloom. Doesn't it look like clouds of cotton candy? No one wants to be at school. They go out with friends, picnicking, painting, photographing, or just admiring the beauty of these short-lived blossoms. These parties are called hanami. Most people are invited to several with different groups of friends or coworkers. Even tourists are invited to join in the fun. There are many famous places in Japan where there are so many cherry trees that you'll see a fairyland of pink overhead with a sea of people walking or sitting on blue tarps below. If you're lucky and the weather stays dry, the blossoms could last for 2 whole weeks, but some years the rain washes them away in just a few days. So part of all of the people getting together to see them is they're only there for a short while. Look at this obento. This is a typical lunch that people coming to this festival might bring. In this little box, you'll have rice and vegetables, some raw or cooked fish, so there's some sushi. So what are some other things you might do at hanami? Hanami, the get-together. So you might row on boats or dance or sing, sit and eat with your friends. You might take photos and just enjoy the beautiful cherry blossoms. So we're going to make a picture of cherry blossoms today. And I have spied in my house, I even have some cherry blossoms on my little utensil holder here. So I'm going to put that as an inspiration because I love how the artist made this on this pottery there. So I've got a couple sheets of paper. Now, you can do some or parts of what I'm doing. I'm actually going to be making this sort of a nighttime scene. So I'm going to take, I've just got something round right now, and I'm going to trace a circle on my white paper. And if you notice, I'm actually going to cut this circle out so I didn't draw it right in the middle, because then I can save, look at this, I can cut this out and I still have all the rest of that white paper if I want to use that as a scrap later on. So I'm going to be doing sort of a moon on a blue sky and then drawing the cherry blossoms onto the blue paper. Now, if you do not have these materials to cut and glue the moon and all that, you could just draw the cherry blossoms onto white paper or whatever paper that you have and use the materials. This would also be really beautiful with made with paint. Now I'm taking big slow bites and slowly curving. Both my hand is turning this slowly and this hand is slowly turning as I cut this little circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just trying my best. See how I have so much room now because I didn't cut it right in the middle? Okay, so now I'm going to place my moon. I do not think I'll put it right in the middle there. I think I'm going to glue that here. And so I would put glue around this edge and then glue it right there. Now, I would start with pencil normally, but I'm going to start with Sharpie so that you can see my cherry blossoms really well. And you can draw them in a variety of different ways. Like this artist made the cherry blossoms. It doesn't look like a photograph of cherry blossoms, but I can tell that they are cherry blossoms. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I actually want to draw some of the cherry blossoms before I draw the branch, because if you notice even here, some of the flowers go in front of the branch. They overlap them. So if I draw the whole branch first, I can't erase it, so I'm not going to do that. So if you notice, there are 5 petals on the cherry blossom. So you could start a couple of different ways. I'm going to draw a kind of a variety, but whatever you do, I'd probably pick one way and stick with it. So one thing I could do is I could start with a center, not too big, and I could draw my 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that kind of starts it off. Look how they did the dots on there. You could definitely put those, and those are just representing different parts of the flower. So you could definitely draw it like that. Now, another way is not to have that little center part, and you could just start. I'm actually going to start with letter V, and I'm going to do 5 letter V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is where it's nice to be able to do it in pencil, because sometimes you might have too big of a gap. And then you can kind of connect this with not a perfectly round shape. I'm just going to kind of make it a little wavy. And now I have my 5 petals. And then I can go in, if I want to add little lines in there, I can do that as well. So that's another way to draw the cherry blossom. If I wanted to draw it like this artist, I could make it kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can be kind of hard to draw sometimes, so something that might help is to draw a circle in pencil lightly. Do your 5 little hills, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go back and just erase that little guideline circle. They can be harder than you think to draw them. And then looking at this, they have almost a little circle shape there and little lines, and then they have their little dots. Okay, so these are just some different ways. I do sort of like this. Now you might represent them in another way. You might draw them in a different way. I think I'm liking this as my favorite. So if I was going to do some more of those, I might draw some more of those in. And I like to change the size. And then are all of the cherry blossoms going to be all at full bloom at once? No. So you're going to have some that are kind of closed up. So I start where it looks like a little, kind of a leaf shape, and then I make the little bottom part here like that. So I might have some of these little blooms that haven't quite opened, and some little medium, just like that. And you can also have some going off the edge. So I'm going to have some going off the edge here. Now this is where I can go in. If I want to add, you can add a lot more where they're all at full bloom. You could do less cherry blossoms. It is up to you. Now I'm going to go in and add my branch, and I'm going to use a brown marker. And if you notice that the branches, they're not perfectly straight. They kind of bend and turn. So I'm going to start at the edge here and just give myself a little line. I'm going to go up to this flower. Imagine I'm going through there, go here, then I might bend down, come through here, go there, bend up a little bit, and I'm going to end right there. I'm not going to go all the way off the page. Now, the branch would not be quite that thin, so I'm actually going to make this a little thicker and go in behind here. Now, you might say, well, I would like to draw a whole tree. You could definitely do that. I like doing an up close of a branch of the cherry blossoms because then you can see all the detail in there. But if you want to do a whole tree, it's wonderful to look at how different artists have depicted the cherry blossom. Because they're so celebrated in Japan, you can imagine that artists have really made a lot of pictures. I feel like I need another branch down here, so I'm just going to add a little branch in like that, and then I'm going to come in and maybe add some more flowers. Now remember, make mistakes. This should not be perfect, because you've probably never drawn a cherry blossom before, right? So I have drawn a lot of cherry blossoms. I'm going to have one flower that's kind of kind of wilting down now. Okay, I might add a little bit more of the branch there. Okay, and you don't really see too much of the green leaves because these blossoms are going to turn fall, and then you're going to get all the green leaves. So I'm going to kind of leave it like that. Isn't that lovely with the moon? Could you put some of the branches going in front of the moon? Oh yes, that would be really, really nice. So now I've just grabbed some pink and white crayons and markers, whatever material you are using, and I'm going to go in. I like having some of the little white kind of here. This is where, since I'm doing it on blue paper, if you have construction paper crayons, Crayola makes construction paper crayons, and all the colors have a little bit of white mixed in with them, which makes them more opaque. And opaque means not see-through, so they look really good on construction paper. That's why they call them construction paper crayons. This would also be really nice if you had paint, especially like tempera paint, because that would be opaque on this paper as well. Watercolor would be great if you were doing this on white paper, but you would lose some of the color going on to the blue paper. Look how I'm kind of using different, those pinks are really similar, aren't they? I think I need a different, oh, I've got this color that says maroon. Yeah, maybe I'll get a little darker here. So I'm just kind of blending with my crayons. That got kind of dark. They're a little bit lighter, I think, but I kind of like that. What do you think? So I'm going to add my little colors in, and I'm just coloring really carefully. And you could add other things into your picture. Here, I can show you what the marker looks like. Look how it looks going over the, kind of interesting going over the crayon. Because now that wax of the crayon's protecting the paper. So I can actually color over that. That looks good too. So you can kind of experiment with your different materials that you have, creating your cherry blossom picture. And yours probably looks a lot different than mine, and that's wonderful. This artist looks different than mine as well. I like how they have sort of these little round blossoms. Good luck drawing your sakura.